Big summer show today at the Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, Weezer, Panic at the Disco, and Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, and we're joined by Scott and Rivers from Weezer. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Howdy.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, summer tour is on, and this is one of those things that I probably don't remember correctly, but it seems like this is one of the longer runs that you guys have been on in quite some time. Is that true, or maybe you were just on long runs and you didn't make it to St. Louis?
No, you're correct. In fact, this is the longest single-run tour we've ever done.
By ever?
Yep, after all these years. I mean, when we put out the Blue Album in '94, we'd do a tour maybe 5 weeks and then take a little break and then pick up another one on for about a year. But this time it's like, man, all summer long, no break.
Now, with the ability now, to bring kids out on the road with you, does that help you when you're putting together this trek, knowing, you know what, all right, I'm going to be on the road for 3 months, but at least I'll be able to bring the kids out, so it's not, that missing the kids there won't be as severe, I guess. Does that play into it at all, I guess? Yeah,
definitely. Most of the kids are old enough now, so they can come along and party and have fun like us.
Right.
It's 3 of us all have kids, so
sure.
It's pretty wild.
So do they just get the run of the backstage? I mean, do they just get to run the backstage?
They got passes. They go. I find them in the other band's
they got
dressing
their own
rooms playing video games.
They got their own jam room with instruments and. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's the gig.
Yeah,
you got to be a Weezer kid. That sounds like the best life to have.
I'm of two minds. One is thinking like they're going to get spoiled into thinking that everybody's just going to get them stuff and they get to go wherever they want all day, and then they should grow up that way because then maybe they'll just breed more of some kind of lifestyle where they get to have what they want.
As musicians, and maybe they get to do the same thing.
I was raised the opposite, not to ask for anything, not to go anywhere, just to like try to. So it's an experiment. We'll see how they turn out.
See, I'm the same way because I even when I have a pass to get around the venue, I always still try to use the manners and say thank you and are you sure? You know what I mean? I was definitely not one of those kids that got too much. I think it did all right for me. You know what I mean? So it's the first time that we've had the chance to talk to you since the White Album has been out, and. First of all, I think that I appreciate the Weezer fan and their hardcore nature, but I think it's sometimes like sort of unfair when forever it seems like they're always wanting things to sound like old Weezer. And some bands kind of, no, we're not going to do that, but you guys sort of kind of embrace that, it seems like. Is that fair in saying?
Yeah, I mean, so we have some real classic sounding songs on the new record, like Girl, We Got a Good Thing, but then we have some really challenging songs. Thank God for Girls doesn't sound like Buddy Holly, that's for sure.
Sure.
We just put out a song called I Love the USA that doesn't even have the power chord guitar in there, so it's all synthesizers. So we like all kinds of music. We do some classic, old school alternative rock, and then we do some crazy new experimental stuff.
I think King of the World, which we've played quite a bit on the station, to me, sounds like a classic Weezer jam. Like it just kind of has that feel. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean it's a slightly new groove to it, but apart from that, yeah, it's pretty classic. And thank you for playing it.
Oh, no problem at all. It's a great tune. Now the guy that produced this album, tell me about this guy. He had a Weezer cover band. Is that how you found him, or did you know him before that?
We knew him before that. He was just like this engineer in the background when we were making the Ratitude album in 2009. We didn't think much of him, but then I bumped into him again about a year and a half ago, and he was all grown up, and he was wearing a suit, had a nice hairdo, and he invited me down to his studio, and I started recording California Kids, and it's just like every step we took with him sounded better, so he's our guy.
Very good. Now, and how does that work? So, I mean, you address it like kind of on an album-by-album basis. You kind of see where you'll be for the next album to see if you bring anybody in or who you bring in to help you out, correct?
Yeah, and nowadays, the way you make albums, it's kind of step by step, and so do a couple songs with somebody, and if it's not working out, then you can always switch to somebody else. You're not locked in. One
of my favorite memories as a kid was staying home during the summer and seeing the television in the summer, the TV shows that you didn't get a chance to see when you were at school. And it was just very exciting. And one of those shows that I remember so vividly was the Monkees. Like, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, what is this? I love this music. These guys are wacky. This is great. And Rivers, you did a song on this new Monkees album, and it's tremendous. How did that come together? And that had to be, because I've read you were a big fan. Peter Tork, I think, went to your high school or something like that. That had to be a very cool honor for you.
Yeah, it's a very cool honor. I mean, they really crystallized that whole '60s aesthetic, those chord changes and melodies, and the songs about girls, and it's just such a huge influence on where Weezer came from. So to get this opportunity was really exciting for me. And to me, I wrote the song, and it sounded pretty much like a Weezer song, but then they got a hold of it, and the way they produced it and everything is just so vintage. I love it.
Yeah, very cool. And then, you had Ben Gibbard on there as well, and Noel Gallagher, I think, was even on there. What was on that compilation? So it was very cool. Well, gentlemen, we thank you so very much, folks. If you don't have the White Album, you're absolutely missing out. It's tremendous, and we're really excited to have you guys here tonight.
I have a funny St. Louis story. Can I tell you quickly?
Yeah.
Every city we go to where I have a day off, I always go out into nature and do a long hike. So yesterday I went to Castlewood. It's about 30 minutes from here.
Sure. So
great. And so I did the River Scene Trail, and at the end of it I got lost, and I ended up on this train track, and just kind of stumbling along this train track, and then suddenly a ranger or a cop or one of these guys comes over and says, "Come here." And he says, "This is automatic, go to jail, you're trespassing."
Whoa.
Yeah, and then he made me put my hands up, and he frisked me and searched my bag, said, "Do you have any weapons or drugs?" I was like, "Well, I happen to have a knife," but he's like, "Knife is cool. But tell me the truth, were you up there playing Pokemon?" No? He was really serious, though.
Yeah. Unbelievable. First of all, I'm thankful that you made your way and that somebody found you, because that would have been disastrous. But I was out on Del Mar last night, and we had a show, and I cannot even tell you the amount of people that I walked into that were playing that, were actively engaged in it. It has completely taken us over.
Wow.
Completely taken us over. Well, again, River Scott, thank you guys so
you,
very
man.
much
Thanks
for
for
your
having
time.
us.
We look forward to seeing you tonight. And again, White Album is out now.